But these numbers, they don't really tell you anything, right? Like if I now go to my stakeholders or to my engineers and say, yes, we're rolling it out because it outperformed baseline by 2%. What does that even mean? Nobody has any idea, any clue what that means. So of course, we match this with our actual product analytics tool, which is CleverTap. So while you guys might, or most likely are not using CleverTap at your company, you might be using Segment or Mixpanel or any other product analytics tool. What I'm showing you here should look quite similar. So you get an idea of what you can do in order to analyze and experiment further. So what you can see here is my user profile in the app. And on the bottom right here, you see my user properties. So whenever we roll out an experiment, not only does the app receive the user property that we created in Firebase, also this user property gets mirrored in CleverTap. So you can see here are different keys. For example, cross-sell experiment is an experiment we've run in the past. Maybe we can even find the Lucid search. No, it's not rolled out, so we cannot find the Lucid search one we just looked at. But generally, also here's another one, Lucid user false. So I'm not in that experiment. Experiment app UX banner, I'm not in that, but deal logic is a different experiment that my user was enrolled in. And this is just based on whatever rules we create when we roll out an experiment. It could be we say 25% of users should get it, or only users in Singapore should get it. And based on that, then randomly users will get assigned and will get those profiles and have get those keys in their profile. And basically now that we can see what those values are, we can define segments based on that then allows us to compare different users. So I just mentioned segments. So we work a lot with segments, which is basically groups of users. So of course we have our all users, that's all users, where we compare, where we always compare to. So we had one experiment that we rolled out in the past, which is called Lucid. So we have defined two segments, people who are in the experiment, they are called Lucid users, and people who are not in the experiment, non-Lucid users. So using those two segments then allows us to compare them. And that's where we then go into our general analytical features. So CleverTap has a couple of analytics features, but the most important one, and the one that I'm going to use as an example now, is the funnel feature. A funnel is basically where you measure the conversion rate from one step to the next. And for us, the most important conversion rate would be, we're just going to look at today, would be from launching the app and purchasing something. So I can just basically define two steps. So using the point is not that you learn how to use CleverTap. So I'm not going to go deep into details of what I'm doing here, but basically I'm just defining a funnel that you can see here from launching the app and purchasing. This is the conversion rate for today. That doesn't mean much. So let's say we wanted to compare two segments where we then want to see what's the effectiveness of an experiment that we rolled out. So I can compare to a different experiment, and now I'm just going to use any random user group just to illustrate what it would look like. So let's assume we were analyzing an experiment and we're looking at our group that we rolled it out to versus our control group. And then you could easily see that no matter how many people are affected by looking at conversion rates, shares, you can easily compare. So let's say this would be a group that we rolled on experiment to, and we saw that the conversion rate dropped to 7% versus our control group. That would mean this experiment was a failure because, of course, we expected it to be higher than our control group. And that's generally then how we can analyze different things, always depending on what's the goal of the experiment. So if we make an improvement in our checkout page, for example, and we wanted to measure the conversion rate from one step to the next in the checkout page, then I would define a funnel for those two steps and see whether the conversion rate is better or worse with the experiment. And that's basically how we do that.